20,000 years before the first joke book, someone in a cave was already laughing so hard they cried. But what could possibly have been funny to a person with no memes, no comedians, and barely any words? We imagine our ancestors as grim survivors, grunting through hardship, too busy fighting mammoths to ever crack a smile. But laughter is not a modern luxury. It is one of the oldest social tools our species ever carried. In fact, laughter is older than language itself, echoing through our family tree long before the first spoken word. To find the first laugh, we can't start with jokes at all. We have to start with tickling. Watch any young ape wrestle, and you'll hear a breathy panting sound scientists call the ancestral laugh. That panting laugh appears in chimps, gorillas, and us. It's a shared inheritance millions of years old. So the very first thing that ever felt funny to our ancestors was probably just being pounced on by a friend. Laughter began as the sound of safe surprise, a way to say, this is only play. We are not truly fighting. That single signal was powerful. It let early humans roughhouse, test each other, and bond without turning to violence. So the earliest humor wasn't a joke you told. It was a feeling you shared with your body. But somewhere along the way, our ancestors did something no other animal does. They started laughing at ideas. This leap needed one crucial ingredient: the ability to imagine something that isn't actually happening. The moment humans could picture the unexpected, they could enjoy the delicious little shock when reality broke its own rules. That's the secret machinery of nearly every joke. You expect one thing, and you get another. So imagine a hunter proudly returning to camp, chest puffed out, ready to boast about the giant beast he killed. And in his hands is a rabbit the size of his thumb. The whole camp erupts. That's a prehistoric punchline. The gap between his swagger and his tiny prize is exactly the kind of humor humans have always loved. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherers find this humor everywhere, and it's aimed at one thing above all: the show-off. Among many foraging peoples, a great hunter is expected to downplay his kill, so no one grows too proud. If he brags, others mock the meat mercilessly, calling the huge animal skinny, useless, barely worth carrying home. This teasing isn't cruelty. It's a comedy of equality, keeping big egos from tearing the group apart. So one of humanity's oldest forms of humor was essentially a group project to keep anyone from becoming a jerk. But not all ancient humor was about status. Some of it was gloriously, wonderfully stupid. Enter the prank. Even chimpanzees play tricks, hiding food or startling a friend just to enjoy the reaction. Our ancestors surely did too. Picture a sleeping hunter and a friend gently balancing a leaf on his nose, waiting for the sneeze. The whole group holding their breath, then bursting the moment he wakes flailing. That's a comedy scene 30,000 years old. Some of the oldest human art even seems to wink at us. Certain cave paintings look almost like deliberate jokes. There are exaggerated bodies, silly poses, and figures that seem drawn to make the viewer smirk, not just admire. We can't prove they were jokes, but the impulse to draw something exaggerated for effect is deeply, deeply human. And then there's the humor that never dies, no matter the century. The humble bodily function joke. The oldest recorded joke in human history, written thousands of years ago, is about exactly what you'd expect. Flatulence. If the first written joke was a fart joke, imagine how many unwritten ones echoed through caves for millennia before. This kind of humor works because our bodies are the one thing every single human has always shared. You didn't need language, culture, or a shared story. A well-timed noise crossed every barrier and got the laugh. But as language grew richer, so did the jokes. Humans discovered the joy of the story that goes wrong. Around the fire, someone could now describe a hunt that ended in disaster, acting out every ridiculous stumble. The best storytellers became beloved not for wisdom alone, but for their ability to make the whole camp cry laughing. And here's a striking thought. Comedy may have been a survival skill, as real as making fire or finding water. Laughter releases tension, heals arguments, and stitches a group back together after conflict. It literally keeps people alive. A band that could laugh together after a bad day was more likely to stay together and survive the winter. So the funniest person in the tribe wasn't just entertaining. They were, in a quiet way, a healer of the group. Humor also let ancient people say dangerous things safely, wrapping a hard truth inside a laugh.
You could mock a bully, question a leader, or point out a mistake, all while pretending it was just a joke.
That makes comedy one of the earliest forms of honesty, and one of the earliest forms of rebellion. Now try to picture the sensory reality of an ancient joke. No screen, no stage, just faces lit by fire. The teller's exaggerated gestures, the crackle of flames, the shared warmth of bodies pressed close in the cold dark. And then the laugh rolls through them, one voice sparking the next, until the whole night rings with it. That sound, that exact shared bark of joy, is something you have made too, unchanged for tens of thousands of years. The subjects have changed. The stumble, the show-off, the surprise, the body, the story gone wrong, all remain. Scroll through any modern feed, and you'll find the very same jokes our ancestors told, just dressed in new clothes. The pratfall video, the humble brag mocked in the comments, the perfectly timed noise, all of it is ancient. So when you ask what ancient humans found funny, the honest answer is unsettling and beautiful. Mostly the same things you do. Humor turns out to be one of the oldest threads connecting you to a person you could never possibly meet. A person who lived, struggled, hunted, and at the end of a long day, wanted nothing more than to laugh. Their names are gone. Their jokes are gone. But the shape of their laughter survives inside every one of us. So the next time something makes you laugh until you can't breathe, remember, you are doing something magnificently ancient.
You are speaking the very first language humans ever shared, a language older than any word ever spoken.
If you enjoyed rethinking the ancient mind, subscribe and keep exploring the strange, familiar lives of those who came before us.